Are you looking for alternatives to the Kindle publishing platform? Have you considered some of the aggregate publishers I've mentioned in previous videos? You may remember one specific aggregate publisher I've mentioned time and again, and I've actually had the pleasure of tracking down their Director of Marketing, Kevin Tumlinson, for a very exclusive interview on this channel. Stick around. Welcome to Self-Publishing with Dale, and if you want to master DIY publishing, make sure that you subscribe and turn on your notifications for all my latest videos. Man, I'm super jacked about my guest today. He comes from Draft2Digital and his name is Kevin Tumlinson. Kevin Tumlinson is a best-selling and award-winning thriller author, hosted the Wordslinger Podcast, and Director of Marketing for Draft2Digital. He is known as the voice of indie publishing, appearing on hundreds of podcasts and YouTube channels and at conferences worldwide, speaking about independent self-publishing as a career and a community. You're going to want to pay attention and stick around all the way to the end on this interview because Kevin's going to drop some 411 that's going to blow your mind and singe your eyebrows. Draft2Digital is really rolling out some neat features, and I even mentioned one of the features this past Monday in my self-publishing week in review. Without any further ado, welcome into the show, my good pal, actually newfound friend here over the past couple of months, and somebody that I've talked about and referred to in a couple of my videos before is Kevin Tumlinson. Kevin, it's so great to have you, man. How you feeling?
Yeah, it's good to be here, man. Yeah, I'm feeling great. I'm having a great time right now.
Before we even, I have to talk about where are you at and why are you there?
At this exact moment, and you can kind of, it's blown out. You can see a little bit of sunlight streaming in behind me. I'm in St. Pete's Beach, Florida, for NINC. That's Novelists Inc. here in Florida. I'm coming off of I'll be here for a week. This will be the last week of a nearly month-long tour of author conferences. I was at Indie Book Fest in Orlando last week, and in Utah before that. And I got more coming up too, man.
That's tremendous. Is it a good time? Are you having fun?
Yeah, one of the perks of doing these conferences is they're usually in places that have a lot to do, and there's usually a lot of people willing to go out and do that stuff. So yeah, having a real good time.
It's funny. It seems like this is the time of year that there's a lot of self-publishing and writing conferences. So there's never a lack of things to do this time of year. And
it gets pretty busy. Yeah.
Especially for you. And of course, I have already made the introduction prior to us in the interview is you're the marketing director, correct?
Right.
Draft2Digital.
Right.
So
Right.
Draft2Digital, I've really just sang your praises over and over. And in fact, just last night, I finally tried the new interior layout.
Yeah.
Where has that been all my life?
I'm
Literally.
telling you, man. I'm telling you.
Heck?
It's the tool nobody knew they needed.
It's literally mind-blowing. I'm telling you this, and I'm going to probably have to go back in and update my Draft2Digital review based on this interior tool because it is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I'm not being.
That's what we want here.
By the way, folks, he does not pay me to say this. When I went in there, I'm going, and I had to take a screenshot and put it over on Twitter.
We saw it, and my CEO, by the way, loved that screenshot. He commented on it the moment it appeared in our Slack channel. So,
yes,
kudos to you. Very good. No, that tool in particular is one that I was very excited about. Like, I just couldn't wait. It's been brewing for a little while. We've been on a pretty regular cadence of releasing new features at Draft2Digital, and that one was a couple of weeks ago. Maybe about a month ago now, and it's been phenomenal. I mean, it's I kind of teased that I'm pitching it as a sort of a competition to Vellum, and it kind of is. But I mean, Vellum has a few features we don't have yet, but we're adding more templates and we're beefing that up. And we're going to improve it over time. I mean, it's a free tool that does everything an author needs to make their book look really professional. So.
Well, I don't know how Vellum works. I only know it just through, I think it's Michael Laron's YouTube channel. He had actually reviewed it some time ago.
Right.
But with Draft2Digital, I like the fact that it's easy to use, that it's on your site, and I don't have to download software. I don't know if I'm off on that. If you have to download Vellum software.
No, nothing. As I put it, We are operating system agnostic. Everything we do is browser based. So practically any browser. I've even tried this. It's not as streamlined and easy to do, but I have actually experimented on mobile browsers to see if I could upload a book. And now that iPhone has the Files app, that's become much easier. So if you've got a Word doc or an RTF file sitting in Dropbox, for example, or your iCloud drive or whatever, you can basically hop on your iPad or iPhone, upload that document, and go.
That is insane.
Yeah.
That means officially I don't need to lug my laptop around in order to actually publish my books. I can literally just leave home with my phone and just go ahead and just publish. And
I'm telling you, as an experiment this past week, so I was at Disney, okay, because I was in Orlando. You got to go to Disney. It's a law. It's a state law. You have the oranges, and you have to go to Disney World. But just as an experiment between rides, I'm waiting to ride the new Avatar. What was it called? Flight of Passage. Amazing ride, by the way. But I'm waiting in line, and I'm like, I wonder what I could do just in this line. Could I write and publish something in the next 2 hours of wait in this line?
Oh my gosh, no!
Get my phone out now. I'm stealing from Michael Laron here. Michael Laron told me that he writes his books entirely on his iPhone using the on-screen keyboard. So I wrote a little short story. I ran it up to Draft2Digital, and I uploaded it, previewed it, and everything. I haven't hit publish yet because I'm thinking I'm going to experiment a little more with it. I think I need some more editing too. But yeah, you could totally, with nothing but an iPhone, you could write and publish your books, start making money.
There's so little excuse for people not to be able to publish something these days. And I think that you guys removed that barrier. And just kind of another key selling point. It's funny, you're the marketing person here yet. I'm excited about some of the things. I think one of the cool things is you don't have to publish it on Draft2Digital to utilize the tool. Right. Why do you guys do that? I mean, I really, what's the catch?
So the biggest reason that we don't force you to do that. Well, first of all, we're founded by, there were 3 founders for Draft2Digital. 2 of them are coders, okay, programmers. One of them was an author. He was kind of this started with him, right? So he understands. I'm an author, and I understand what the needs of our community really are, right? We wanted to create things that could help that community. It's hard to justify charging people who often have no budget whatsoever to do the things that they need to do in order to go out and make the money, that they need to survive or whatever. I mean, some people are making their living from these books, right? So we figured it's kind of like a good Samaritan, good turn kind of thing, I think. But, that's only part of it. I mean, we do have a business model that does depend on making a profit. But we figure we want to build our business in such a way that everybody benefits. So, we take 10% of distribution or royalty from distribution, right? So we only make money if you sell a book. So it's in everybody's best interest for you to sell a book. So we're going to do everything we can do to help you do that. And, hopefully you feel the same about us. You're going to help us survive by coming in. You don't have to publish through us. There are plenty of valid reasons why you might want to go direct or why you might want to be exclusive. And I respect that. I preach I'm an evangelist for indie publishers, frankly. And I mean, there is a strategy out there that you can use to go exclusive for a time and then go wide, after a certain period. I'm okay with that. I will help you do that. I will tell you how you can do that. But the idea behind Draft2Digital is and has always been that we never want to charge the author directly. We always want to build tools that help the author succeed. And we've lived up to that mission. Frankly, I don't know that I would work with the company if it was centered entirely on profit. I don't have to work for anybody. I mean, I was doing pretty good with my copywriting business and my books, and I was just a big fan of the way these guys thought and operated. I loved them. And I preached like you, man. I was just always talking about them, and they heard me.
Oh my gosh. Am I going to become an employee before we know it?
cannot make that guarantee.
No. Yeah. You guys don't want me there. You don't want me. Yeah, you don't want me there. But all joking aside, definitely we're going to hopefully revisit Draft2Digital. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. But I do want to talk. You just open up a whole can of worms here. And something I haven't gone and researched fully is you're an author and you're a self-published author. So I'd love to know, first of all, what got you into this business?
And by you haven't gone and researched fully, you're trying to tell me you haven't bought any of my books. That's what you're telling
me. You're like, I've got all yours because we just go over to like Digital. There's Dale's account. Here's his book. I'll just read it.
I got everybody's books. So I've been writing my whole life. I mean, I always joke and say that I wrote my first book when I was 5, and it was notebook paper and front and back, and that's an apocryphal story. I mean, it is true. I've been writing since I was old enough to hold a pencil. I've been writing and telling stories, and I wrote professionally from the age of 12, meaning I got paid for it, writing for newspapers, and then that evolved into writing for magazines, and that evolved into radio and television. So I've got a pretty rich media career, but writing and telling stories was always the heart of my career and my work. And I published, so I'd written a couple of books. I did get a traditional contract, and that didn't end well. I kind of figured out that I was going to lose money by having it. I had a bad contract, really bad contract. But what I did learn from that is that I didn't like, the whole gatekeeper scenario. And self-publishing at that time was still taboo, still something that you only did, if you couldn't get a contract. Well, I got a contract, so I figured there was no harm. There was nothing for me to lose. I started kind of tinkering around, found out about an early version of what's now known as KDP, and I published my first sci-fi book in 2008, and then I have since pulled that and I republished that one in 2010. But over the course of the next few years, I wrote a couple more of those books, and then I think late 2013, I decided that it was time for me to take the whole thing much more seriously, and I just really started kicking ass. I created my 30-day author formula, and which is really just about putting your butt in the seat every day, and figured out how to write books really fast if I needed to, or take my time if I needed to. And the important thing was to be consistent. And then boom, I was writing. And I wrote sci-fi and fantasy for a very long time, but about a little more than a year ago, going on 2 years now, I think, my friend and co-author Nick Thacker dared me to write a thriller while we were on air on a podcast, and because he writes thrillers, and so I gave it a shot, and that one ended up becoming a bestseller and ended up winning some awards and making a lot of money, and I decided that I was a thriller author now.
You were like, science fiction? No, yeah. I didn't write that. I did thrillers this whole time.
Yeah. I mean, so I have like around 40 books, a little more than 40 books out there. And most of them are sci-fi and fantasy right now. But my thriller books are starting to kind of really pick up steam. So,
would you care to share? How are you, man, that is a great volume of books over such a short period of time. How are you able to do, because I'm assuming they're novels or they're,
the majority are novels at this point. I mean, when I first started, it was a lot of like novellas, and short stories, things like that, which, that's fine too. The nature of what a book is these days changed quite a bit. I think people are far more accepting of shorter work, so there's some of that in there, but, I have, there's at least two trilogies in there, and then there's a whole bunch of standalone novels, and, a serialized series of novellas and some collections and things like that. Siri heard me, by the way. She just popped up. All right. You have to be very careful when you say things like serious or series. Anyway, I don't know what she was going to look. I think she was looking up my collection of books.
That's good. That works.
Yeah. The Dan Kotler books, those are my thrillers. I have 3 of those, 3 full-length books in that series so far, and a novella, and the fourth one is in progress if I can ever not be at conferences. I've gotten some writing done. Yeah, well, no, man, it's all good.
Especially since you're having fun. So how are you able to produce such good quality content at such a rapid pace? What is the secret to your success? Are you doing talk to text? Are you a fast typer?
Nope.
What's your system? Just a fast typer.
I'm mostly a fast typer. I've been a writer all my life, right? So, and a large portion of my career was copywriting. And if you've ever, most people have never been a professional copywriter. Those who have will know what I mean, but you're always writing a deadline, and the deadlines are always insane, and you have to produce, quality content. And then a lot of times you have to produce a lot of it, even if it's not all in one document. So I've worked for agencies, I did a lot of agency work, but I also was a freelancer for the largest portion of my career. And, to keep the bills paid and keep food on the table, I had to take on more work than I could really handle most of the time. So you just kind of, they say the first million words of practice, I passed that mark, years ago. You just get to a point where you understand the rhythms of the language, and you're able to just pour it on the page. And there's no way to get to that other than to practice it. But I've coached authors. I've helped thousands of authors at this point. The secret to being prolific is writing every single day. Even if you're just chunking out 500 words on a page every day, that's iterative progress. You will complete a book. Turn off your editor. Your only job is writing, while you're writing. And sit down and commit to, I'm going to write X number of words every single day. Some people, they push it and they want to do 5,000 words, 10,000 words, whatever. If that's uncomfortable for you, don't worry about it. Just do 500 words if that's all you can do. I have one book that I wrote 60,000 plus words in one day. To just challenge the crap out of myself. And it's a favorite, by the way. It's a fan favorite, but it hasn't caught on. The people who discover it and read it love it, but it hasn't really, I guess I'm not marketing it correctly. That's what's happening.
Gotcha.
That book is evergreen, and that's that was my first attempt at a thriller, and I went supernatural thriller with it. So and I love that book, but I'll probably never attempt that again for the rest of my life. That challenge was accepted and completed. So.
Wow, that's still incredible. 60,000. I mean, probably the best I've ever done is probably 10,000 in the course of a day. And kind of like what you're saying, you just feel like as soon as you're done, you're so mentally and physically spent. Like I literally felt like I collapsed after doing a 10,000 word day, because typically I'm like what you say, where I'll at least do 500 to 1,000 words per day, which is pretty exemplary. What is your app? I'm just curious because, it's so funny. You see these self-publishing shows and they're typically asking what income is. Me, I don't care about the income things. I want to know how many words per minute are you typically averaging?
Words per minute, I don't know. Words per hour, I mean, I'll do if I'm just kind of being relaxed about it, I'll do around 2,500 words. If I'm really pushing it, I tend to do about 5,000. And so you can see how in a day's time, I get up at 5 a.m. every morning. If all I have to do that day is write and bodily functions, and I've got someone loving and kind enough to bring me coffee and food, which I do, then it's not as difficult to do that. Although when I wrote Evergreen, I was mostly in a hotel in Manhattan in their lobby. But there was a person, a very understanding waitress, who kept coming by and refilling my coffee cup all day long. She got a huge tip out of it. And also took care of, anytime I had to go to the bathroom, all I had to do was point. She'd keep an eye on my stuff, and she brought me things to eat. She took care of me.
It just goes to show
I didn't even dedicate the book to her. I've just now realized. Oh, holy crap!
Oh, what were you thinking, man? That's it. Unpublish it. It's not even worth it now.
Yeah.
I think it's just tremendous, because it even shows that you don't see any kind of limitations when it comes to writing, because you're writing in a line waiting for a ride. You're writing in a lobby of a hotel.
Right.
And I'm sure you've probably, what's the strangest location that you have ever written at?
It may actually be the line at Disney World at this point.
That is pretty
That may be
unique.
the strangest one. I mean, the thing is, because of the whole idea of writing on my phone is somewhat new.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that is open to me, the stopper has been pulled. I mean, I'm going to run for whatever I can find. I mean, I'm going to write everywhere now.
All right. So before we get too far over into other things, man, because I know I can really start to chase shiny objects within conversations, I want to discuss a lot more about Draft2Digital
Yes.
and what you guys are about. We've kind of discussed that a little bit. Can you tell us exactly what gets you to stand out from, say, a Kindle Direct Publishing versus what you're considered an aggregate publisher? What's the huge difference, and what's the value that we can see in one over the other?
I mean, the first, when you compare us to KDP, there's no exclusivity with Draft2Digital. So you don't have to use us, even if you use our tools. You do not have to use the service. Distribution is how we make our money. So of course we would love for you to hop in, but and sell books through us. But if you just want to use us to convert your book and go direct to Kindle or Kobo or anyone else, that's fine. We understand. But the biggest difference is really, that's the big one, really, that there is no exclusivity. You don't have to use, if you do publish through us, you can pick and choose which distributors you want to use. So if you prefer to go to Kobo direct, which a lot of our authors do, because they like Mark Lefebvre, and he's a swell guy. So that you can actually choose to publish everywhere but Kobo. So we're about flexibility. If you've noticed, Amazon is not exactly about flexibility and options. They really want to funnel you into one set of options, none of which are all that terribly aimed at you. They're more geared towards supporting Amazon. But yeah, as far as us versus other distributors, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, we're a way to get all your data in one place. You can get all your sales figures, all your royalty figures in one place, see how you're doing. The price of that is a 10% cut. I always consider that sort of a convenience fee. I was always willing to pay 10%. It all depends on your strategy. I've known people who thought 10% was just too much. They can't decide to part with 10% of their income for the conveniences we offer. So,
what silver spoons were feeding them when they were growing up? I mean, I'm telling you, 10% is exemplary, especially since you have.
When it comes to money, man, people can be funny, and just giving up that 10 cents on the dollar. I mean, it really rankles some authors. So, and that's fine. I mean, we knew that was going to be the case, and we figure, you attract more flies with honey, that philosophy. We would rather provide you with the tools so that you can go out and be successful. And at the very least, you spread us by word of mouth. You say, I don't distribute through them because I like to keep my 10%, but they're a great company. Go try them out. And we figure more authors will come to us and decide that 10% is a cheap cost to get the benefits that they're getting and stick around. And so far, that's been the case. I mean, we got no shortage of authors.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've been focusing a lot more of my efforts over on Draft2Digital. Most recently, you guys saw some really big victories at your headquarters. And when I say really big victories, I think exactly the ones. One that just was announced today that I'm super stoked about. I'd like to save that one for last. And then a more recent one before that, outside of your acquisition of Overdrive. Congratulations on that one.
We didn't acquire. Let me clarify that. We didn't acquire Overdrive. That
they
makes
acquired you.
That makes it sound like somebody bought somebody, but we were a partner. They're one of our partners.
Okay. My apologies.
No, I just wanted to make that clear because we don't want that language spinning out.
Overdrive comes in and be like, you don't own us.
That's right.
But, you did just pick up Overdrive recently, but there was an even bigger thing. And I was so excited about it because it seemed to me in the audiobook industry, ACX was the only game in town.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about what I'm hinting towards. And of course, let's talk about the big news that was announced today. Of course, this being 3 weeks from,
Yeah,
this
right.
is going to launch now.
Hopefully by now everybody's already banking on that.
I hope so.
So we formed a partnership with Findaway, who are huge. They're the biggest audiobook distributor on the planet.
Yeah.
They distribute to literally everyone. I mean, if you can think of an audiobook distribution platform, it is probably getting sourced by Findaway. But Findaway wanted to launch its new program, Voices, which is aimed at the indie author market. And they came to us, and we decided that we like their business model. They operate very much like we do. They are the Draft2Digital of the audiobook landscape. They have the same terms of service, basically. I mean, you don't have to use them. You don't have to use any of their distribution. Now that you can't create your audiobook for free. Now that's a whole other thing, but you can get, if you already have an audiobook file and it's not exclusive to, Audible or something along those lines, then you can bring it to Findaway and distribute it for free. They make their money on distribution just like we do. Mm-hmm. If you come in through Draft2Digital, by the way, and go, you don't have to use this for distribution. You don't have to use this for anything. Mm-hmm. But if you come in through us and convert your book and distribute it to Findaway through us, you don't have to pay the $49 admin fee. Wow. Now that's pretty sweet. Yeah. But you do still have to pay for audiobook production. But what these guys do is they do a sort of entrance interview about you and your book. They'll help you find a narrator that is perfect for your book and perfect for your budget. So now you got to be a little bit realistic here, because there are no narrators who are going to work for $50. I wish there were.
This price per hour, $50 is so insanely low. That's lower than minimum wage.
Exactly right. So what you've got though is a network that will help you find the right narrator if you are reasonable about your budget. Now this is Findaway. Findaway doesn't do a royalty split the way ACX offers. Instead, they you want to keep all your rights anyway, right? This whole royalty split thing, it looks attractive because it reduces the price of audiobook production, but then you're giving away some of the ownership of your book permanently in the case of the narrator. And if you distribute through Audible's ACX, if you're exclusive, it's a 7-year commitment. To quote the meme, ain't nobody got time for that. I don't want my book. First of all, I don't want someone else to own rights to my book if I can help it without me being compensated. I don't want to give someone rights as a compensation to them. That doesn't make sense. I want you to pay me for rights. I'll do that, So what they've done is they've eliminated that whole thing. And instead, we're working really hard to figure out ways to get the overhead of audiobook production down so that it's much more affordable. And we're talking down from thousands of dollars to hopefully hundreds of dollars. We're working to find ways to do this. And we don't want to cut the narrators out. We want them to make a living too. So we're finding ways that, maybe they can be compensated somehow. If you want to do a royalty split, by the way, totally on the table. You can set that up on your own, bring the book in, do whatever you like. What's really cool about this, though, and one of the things I've thought was really interesting, you can now you can start marketing shorter audiobooks. On Audible's credit system, readers tend to just get the longest book they can get for their money. Otherwise, they feel like they've wasted their credits, right? Yeah. So, that cuts out a lot of authors who write shorter fiction or shorter, nonfiction. It cuts out, new authors entirely because the credit system tends to funnel people to known commodities. I don't want to waste my credit, so I don't want to get this unknown author. I want to get Stephen King, or I want to get, some Neil Gaiman or something, right? And those are fantastic authors, but I know plenty of indies who are equally as talented as those guys. So what we've got now is a scenario where we can increase discoverability for unknown authors because the author can control their price. And they can also post shorter work, which might tend to attract people to, just try you out for $1 or so. right?
Yeah.
Now, Audible controls its price. Audible always controls its price.
Yep.
But Amazon's real good about price matching. So if you price, you can price all the way down to zero through Findaway Voices. Audible's going to charge $35 for that book or something, but you can set it everywhere else for zero if you want. Use it as a top of funnel. If you are only charging, $1 or so for the book though, and you get 80% of Findaway's royalty on the book. And there's a chart on a blog post I have. So you're not getting 80% of the sale price, but the royalty and rate is based on the sale price, on the book's cover price. So if you charge $10 and Findaway gets 45% of that, it's usually more, but let's just say they get 45%, you get 80% of that 45%, if that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah.
So,
yeah, it totally does.
Yeah. So the real magic here though, is that let's say that I am a new author. I have some equipment I could record myself if I wanted to, right? So my overhead can be zero. You have to meet certain, standards of quality for the production, but they're not tough to meet. Do a little bit of digging, and the Findaway guys will tell you what you need to do, and they'll vet it for you. By the way, they'll listen to it and say, this doesn't match or whatever. They'll help you figure it out. But you could record yourself reading a serialized short story, maybe 10,000 words per episode, quote, per book, and start posting those up for 99 cents. And these guys distribute to Audible, iTunes, and 170 plus other markets. So now you've got a book up there that people are, if they don't want to use a credit, they're willing to pay $1 or even $5. People are so used to books being $40. I mean, they'll pay $10 for a book, for a short story, I'd say probably price it at the $5 range and down, but that's going to be up to you too. And then presumably Audible will match that price, right? But if they don't, your book's out there in enough other markets, it's probably going to compensate.
Right.
Anyway, that's all really exciting. I mean, what it does is it opens the door to a whole bunch of new ideas, new ways to go at this and to add audio to your book marketing strategy. So that's just plain brilliant. I mean, to me, it's a game changer. I can't wait to see how it unfolds. Findaway has built something really cool, and we're very happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, this is where I plan on for my self-publishing business, is starting to produce through Findaway Voices. And I'm very excited that you were able to kind of clarify some of these things. One other question before we transition over to the huge news that you guys just announced today. My other question is, and I think you kind of covered it, but I want to make sure we hit it anyways. Findaway Voices, if I distribute through them, is it exclusive, or can I be able to take so I can take my sound files anywhere I want then?
You can take them anywhere you want. Yeah.
Nice.
You can distribute even books that are already distributed through Audible, as long as you're not in an exclusivity arrangement with Audible. You can pull them and bring them over to Findaway if you want. You don't have to use all their vendors. If you decide I like going direct to Audible, then you don't have to use Audible through Findaway. You can just keep your Audible account and distribute everywhere else you want using their server. They're just like Draft2Digital, right? You can pick and choose the distribution channels you want. There's no exclusivity. If you post your book, today, and 3 months from now you decide it's not worth it, I just want to pull back and I only want to be on Audible and iTunes, then pull all your books from distribution and they'll take care of it.
That is amazing. And it's definitely reassuring. And I'm finding myself, the longer I've been in this business, the more I kick myself over to the 50-50 royalty splits that I ended up, getting.
Hey man, but that's the way it worked.
Yeah.
I have, 3 books of my own that are locked into that. And it made me very hesitant to move forward with audio because, I'm kind of stuck there now, right? 7 years. I mean, that's ridiculous. A 7-year commitment.
Long time. That's like we broke a mirror. What the heck?
Right. I know marriages that don't last 7 years. So, and then not to mention that I'm now, I'm shackled to this narrator on, and I love my narrator.
Nothing wrong with them. Me too.
But that's not the point. The point is now I have someone I have to share ownership with for the rest of the life of that version of the book. Unless I want to go through the overhead and time of reproducing the book, which is kind of jerk move on my part, right? Because now I'm cutting my narrator out. So I'm not going to do that. But, the whole reason I love indie publishing is there are no gatekeepers and there are no limits. It's all up to me, and I own everything. So I was always rankled by the ACX model.
Yeah, me too. It's just so reassuring, and that's why one of the reasons why I made a lot of noise over Findaway Voices, because it just was that beacon of hope for me, to where because I know audiobooks are just expanding massively these days,
Right.
and I think it's about 25% increase over the past year in sales, and that's globally speaking through publications, and I'm like that's phenomenal. Which I think I got those stats from you guys.
Possibly.
Yeah,
Which makes them highly suspect.
You guys just throw things. They're like, what's a good number? 25%? No, 22.5%. It's a little more believable.
Exactly. People will buy that.
So big news. It was announced today. It is really awesome because now it seems that you guys are just removing every single obstacle that could be available. And to me, you created a model that people can be able to make money, that they can probably take those funds and put it right back into their self-publishing business. Right. So before I go too far, I want you to go ahead and announce it here on this channel.
All right. Okay. And this is officially, like, as of today, and we're recording on October 3rd. Mm-hmm. So officially, as of today, we have launched a program we call Refer a Friend, mm-hmm. or RAF. And the idea here is it's a sort of affiliate program, right? So if you go and you create or use your existing Draft2Digital account, you can create a URL that's unique to you, and you can customize it if you like with your name or the name of a show, if you have a podcast or anything you want, and then send that. What the idea here is, you're going to promote that link, and you're going to tell authors, will-be authors as I call them, that they can publish through Draft2Digital. So you go out and you evangelize on our behalf, right? And in exchange for that, you will be able to get 10% of Draft2Digital's royalty on any books they sell for a period of 1 year. That means that the authors don't lose any money, right? We're not cutting the author out of 10% in order to entice you in. We cut ourselves out of 10% for 1 full year after that friend becomes your friend. So again, it's this scenario where we build something where everybody gets to cooperate and everybody wins, right? So you bring in a new author, and if you land a whale, by the way, like somebody talks Hugh Howey into join. Hugh Howey is a Draft2Digital author, but I mean, if you talk a mega bestseller into joining and using your link to do it, you get our 10%, and that's per book. I mean, that's everything in that author's catalog that sells through us. You get 10%, our 10%. So wow. Now that it's huge, because for podcasters and video bloggers and guys like us, and unfortunately, because I'm a Draft2Digital employee, I don't get to use it.
Oh, boo!
I know, man.
You share this with the office. Tell them, boo, hiss.
Write letters. You guys write emails. You demand that the Wordslinger Podcast get to have its link, but it won't. And I support that policy, by the way. But the idea here is, of course, we want to incentivize people to promote us, right? Yeah. No secret of that. I mean, that's the whole game, is about getting people to sign up and get an account. Yeah. What we wanted, though, we are in love with the idea of building tools that are all about helping everyone succeed, helping the authors in particular succeed. So if you're an influencer, for example, I mean, what I see is, say, you don't have to be a Draft2Digital author in order to do this either. You can sign up just to create the account that lets you, funnel people into Draft2Digital. You'll still get our autoresponder sequence, asking you to write a book. And frankly, everyone should have a book. They're the best business card. They're the ultimate business card, as I say. But the idea here is, it's all about all the rising tide lifts all boats. It's all about helping everyone get the most that they can out of the success of each individual author. There are things, you have a running tally of how many friends you've referred, but because of privacy laws and other things, you're not going to be able to see who it is that's on your referral list, for example, who signed up, who didn't. You can't get any of the numbers. You're not going to know how much they sell. But we have to report. Internally, we have certain guidelines we have to adhere to legally and tax wise and that sort of thing. So all that stuff is being tracked. We just can't share it with anybody. So I just want to put that out there because I've already had a couple of authors ask well, how I'm going to refer so-and-so. So, how can I know when so-and-so joins? You can ask them. And that's the only legal way you can find out.
Right. Yeah.
If they are willing to tell you. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. So, and I'm just going to throw just a fake scenario out here. And it could be real world by now. I'm not really sure. Let's say, for instance, I bring in an author and they're pulling in right about $1,000 to $10,000 in gross sales per month. We'll say 1,000. So there's a potential then that I could be earning anywhere from about $100 to $1,000 then.
Damn you for making me do mental math, but yes. Yes. So we take 10% of that author's sales when they distribute through us.
Okay.
And then we're giving you 10% of that 10%.
That makes sense. There we go. Okay. Excellent. Now that makes better sense.
If we make $1,000 off of that author, you get $100.
Hey, I'll take that all day long. And especially for just referring them to just a magnificent tool in this. And it's not me sitting here sucking up to you.
Right.
I'm already referring people over there. And I sing your praises quite a bit. And I would do that without the affiliate, which is at the link in this video description.
Well, here's the thing. Do you know which link? Did you get your link already?
Not yet. But I do plan on having that up and functioning here. You
just
told me today, man.
That's right. So this hotel room I'm in right now, this is like James Blatch's room. He's with the self-publishing formula, Mark Dawson's self-publishing formula podcast. Okay. Waiting in my room. Okay. So he's like, he hands me his room card. As soon as they got the press release, they went out and registered because they're like, I don't want someone else grabbing the initials. I want to make sure that I have mine. So you better get it right after this call. So here's the deal. This is the thing that I love about it. It's in your best interest then when you refer an author. I would get them to let you know, because then you can say, if you sign up on my account, I will help you market your books every way that I can, because you're going to make money off of it. Right?
Yeah.
So it's that principle. I want you to succeed because I succeed. So this is the Zig Ziglar principle in action, man. You can have anything you want in life if you're willing to help enough other people get what they want. Here you go. This is proof of concept. Go out, get people to sign up, and then promote the crap out of their work, because now you benefit from it. So
you won't see Amazon doing this. You won't see other aggregate publishers doing this. You guys are blazing a new trail and setting a bar so high that I doubt anybody's going to be able to follow that.
Yeah, well, that's the idea.
That is brilliant. I hope you guys are ready to get your staff growing here within the next year, because I imagine over the next year, as this program comes in and unfolds, you're going to probably have more work than you can, shake a stick at.
That's the idea. I mean, we're trying to build something that, we want something that's going to help authors succeed. And we want to grow at the same time. I mean, there's no secret there. But to me personally, I mean, this is my personal mission, right? I want to personally be part of something that's aimed at helping the indie author community grow and become better and more legitimate and more, all the things that you hear. You definitely want this community to be on its feet, to be rising. And Draft2Digital, that's what we do. I mean, that's what we've been since 2012. We've been the company that creates the tools that help authors just accelerate. And I'm honored to be a part of that. So
Yeah, you should be. This is just really, really stellar. So we're going to start to wrap things up. I really appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your day, especially as you're going to conferences. Real quick question. Are you guys going to be at the conference up in Philly? I think it is another couple weeks, I think in the beginning of November.
Anything's possible. I'm not in Philly in a couple of weeks, but Dan would maybe. But we're going to more and more of these author-centric conferences. We're kind of shying away from the industry-focused ones now. They just weren't benefiting us as much. So, anything's possible, man. After this little junket, my wife and I are going to take a vacation. We're going to drive to Colorado Springs and chill out there for a week or two because we haven't seen each other in a month. So
yeah, you be running all the time. I can't say I blame you, but anyway, how can people get a hold of you? And of course, let's mention Draft2Digital as well as your own brand.
Okay. Well, for Draft2Digital, visit draft2digital.com, and we own all the near misses there. So it's draft2digital.com, but if you forget, it can also be TO. If you want to reach out to me now, and definitely do that and reach out to our support folks, because you'll get like real live humans who are in Oklahoma City who will answer your questions. Tell them I sent you, and that's important. Tell them Kevin Tumlinson said reach out, because I don't get anything at all out of that except my name comes up in Slack and people, I get a little bit of street for these interviews that I do. If you want to find out more about me, kevintumlinson.com is my author site, and that you can get hooked up with my podcasts and everything else on that site. So that's all things Kevin Tumlinson right there.
Awesome. Very, very good. Any final parting thoughts that you would like to share with this audience, be it newbie self-publishers to veteran self-publishers?
No matter what level of the industry you're in at this point, you're doing something astounding. Keep at it, but just come back to it every single day. And if you need a hand, reach out. Draft2Digital and I are both here. We're both, focused on making sure you succeed. So come at me.
Nice. Thank you, Kevin. I really appreciate your time. Stick around until after the interview here.
Thank you, sir.
Big thanks to Kevin for taking time out of his day and his very busy schedule to allow me a little bit of time for this interview. Hey, if you want to check out more on Kevin Tumlinson, make sure that you visit the links down below in the description. That's it for today. Hey, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure that you share it with at least one other person into DIY publishing too. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll see you soon.